Okay, well, I've defined emotion in this way. Emotion is thought connected to feeling. Okay. Now, feeling is just the energy. Now, it may be the energy of a gestalt that's been formed, or it can be the free movement of energy. So, what happens in a moment, something happens. The gestalt that you've set up is felt. Then you experience the thoughts that go along with it. Now, the technique is set up so that you allow the energies to come out of that gestalt, out of that ball, and begin to move. Once that happens, there is a disconnect between the thought and the feeling. Okay? Then, what you feel is connected to the next progression. The energy, if the energy's here, if the gestalt is here and you open it up and the energy moves, well, you're going to experience, you're going to have feelings that are different because it's now activating a different place in you. So you may not feel it, but you will notice the difference. Okay? The thoughts, you connect thoughts to stuff when you're little. People help you connect thoughts to it. Okay? They'll say you're feeling good, or you're feeling bad, or you're feeling this way or that way. Well, those are just intellectual definitions. And because we live in a society where we all connect up together and we try and understand each other, or kind of, we try and understand each other, we have a common definition. The truth is, none of that makes any sense. In truth. In the way we respond, it makes a difference. But it also answers the question of why we can't get along, not really. Why we can't communicate, why we can't understand each other. Because we're all living in these little different worlds with all these different interpretations of the same thing. You got 150 million people in America. You got 150 million opinions about the same thing. And none of them mean a damn thing in terms of the truth. If we let that energy move all the way, and as your thoughts changed, as that energy moved, we let it move into a different point, we'll find that we do have the solution to the problem. The only problem is nobody wants to find the solution. That's the problem. You see what I'm saying? So all that is leading to that and leads to that place where everything just began to feel peaceful. If all that makes any sense to you.
But that's also stopping it, right? That's also when things don't go all the way, is because you stopped it, or because it fizzles and rises to where it goes?
Well, you generally stop it because the moment you notice that you feel different, you begin to think about where you feel now instead of just letting it ride. Just let it go. We human beings are peculiar. We think that what we think is important. It's not. Because we'll start to think about something. And a new thought comes to us, and then we begin to think about that part of it, and section by section by section, we arrive at some conclusion. Well, we think that's important. In some ways it is. But what is most important is arriving at the bottom line truth of what a human being is. So instead of stopping at each point, we should just let it ride. Because when you get to the end, you can look back and you can see it. You can see it all. And we don't think we can see it all. That's because we have a section by section attitude. I used to talk about seeing one point, being one-pointed. Well, people thought that meant a tiny little thing. Well, no. How big is the point? The point can be as big as this entire universe. The point can be it all. It's just a matter of how you're willing to open your mind, okay? And that is how you're willing to let that energy flow. You get, see, we are intellectual, and our thinking is habitual. So the energy moves, wow, oh man, this feels better. Huh, well, blah, 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 blah. All right, you stop that energy from moving. So in answer to your question, this stops this. This is like the nozzle on a faucet. It controls the flow of energy. This. You know, it's difficult. It's difficult because we live in collections we call society. In order for certain things to happen, we have to do certain things, depending on the way the society has been set up. It slows everything down. We've been set up to think in boxes. That hurts us. We've not been set up to think as, I'm going to use a term, spiritual beings. To be a spiritual being, now I don't mean all that bullshit about this religion, that religion. I don't mean that. I don't mean all these people running, oh, I'm a spiritual being, I'm free, I'm free. That's just nonsense. You watch all these people talk about how free they are, and they don't realize, they don't even know what freedom means. They think it is to be without restriction. It's not what freedom means. But anyway, you got all that. If we learn very important things, and there's some very important statements in physics. You create the world, okay? You literally create the world, literally. So if we looked at it from that perspective, we wouldn't be in the picture we're in. You follow what I'm saying? From that perspective, to allow the full flow of the energy and not stop it at any point, to participate at a point short of the destination. And that is because most people in the society don't know that there is a destination. If you listen to them, you listen to your political leaders, you listen to your business leaders, you listen to those people who want change, none of them know where to go because they haven't experienced it for themselves. So the way things are set up is set up as best we can, as children setting up something. But it's not set up to the point where that offers us solutions, real change. It's not set up that way. So that's another one of the habitual behaviors that we have to overcome. Is that desire to want to stop it and go, wow, look at where I am here. Wow, look at where I am here. This is one of the reasons why I caution. You can, and some of you have had the experience already, you can begin to see into, quote, other, quote, dimensions of time and space. You can see past and future. But I always caution you against stopping and going, wow. Because that's not all there is to it. That's the thing way down here on the rung of consciousness. To be able to see, to know tomorrow, well, so what? What you know is the potential of tomorrow, what can happen tomorrow, if things continue along the line that they are at this moment. So it takes all the surprise and the joy out of life. Okay? And it still shows up when you least expect it. That's why we call it that deja vu. Oh, it's like I've experienced this before. Well, yeah, you have. You knew it before. You knew it in your dreams. So it's not to stop, but to make note along the way. It's like if you're an athlete, they talk about defensive backs in football, so they've got to have the shortest memory of anybody in the sport. Because if you screw up, it's touchdown, and everybody's looking at you. You got to have a short memory. You go, okay, this is what I did wrong. All right, got to correct that. Bang, next moment. You're present, here, now. Because if you don't, you're going to miss the next one, and you're going to have to go back and say, well, okay, I screwed up here. So it becomes a procession of screw-ups. You can't linger. You make a note. Oh, okay. Yeah. Now let me go on. Let that energy move on. One of the most important things about that is understanding that you are involved in a learning process. That's the most important thing. We think we are at a destination and we have answers. What we have to understand, it is a learning process. This is the game ad infinitum. Learning process. Every moment is, wow. Oh. You see what I'm saying? And that happens when you let the energy flow. You just let it flow. You relax, because once something happens, if you notice, a part of building the next gestalt is tension. So you go, wow, and you tense, and you create another gestalt. That's why in your instructions about the technique, it is to put your attention where you feel the tension and relax. Because you really don't want to form another gestalt in the body. What you want to do is experience the energy for what it is. Make sense? All energy carries its own message about things. The energy of hydrogen carries the message about hydrogen. You can look at an isotope. An isotope is different. It can still be hydrogen, but it'll be hydrogen just a little different. Well, you can tell that difference by the energy. Okay. You can either, I don't know, all the things they can go through in the lab now to determine all of that. But I know you can determine inside by what you feel. The whole idea is that you have to be quiet enough. And see, that's the base that you came to with that. You have to be quiet enough to hear. And at some point, see the representation, see the message. What's the term for an image being a representation for a word? What do you call it? Huh? Yeah, that. Yeah, symbol. Parumpo. No. Sorry about that. I just couldn't help it. Everything carries a message. So if you are interested in the physics of something, you can learn a lot. But I'll give it to you this way. It's all very superficial about the energy, because you're not going to the essence of the energy. What formed this? When you look at the Big Bang or the Big things were almost formless. They were pretty much energy. As the energy moved, you created a thing called time. And in the creation of this thing called time, vibrational frequencies began to change. Hydrogen was formed, and then this and this, and on and on and on. So what you experience about that is shallow, because it's about form. What was it before the form? Now we're beginning to deal deeper into the energy flow. All that information is there. Okay? If you allow for an absolute energy flow. And I know it seems like it's very far-fetched and very far away, but I'm here to tell you it's not. And this is all the Buddha was trying to tell you. It's all the Christ was trying to tell you, and a multitude of other people. It's only out of reach because you don't believe it's out of reach. I mean, you believe it's out of reach, which is nothing more than a gestalt that the energy has to disperse in order to come down to its finest vibration. It's like at the beginning of the Big Bang, it was at a very fine vibration for the beginning of the physical universe. But you also have to remember that it's all relative. It's relative to what it is you're dealing with. If you're dealing with, quote, spirit, the vibrational frequency is much finer. It can be hotter. One of the things that you sometimes experience when you're doing your meditations, you'll experience heat. Well, that's because it's a finer vibration that you're sensing. Things are not so dense. You're experiencing new energy. Yeah, in India, I think they call it kundalini, whatever all that means. But it's just energy. So what we have to do is we have to let it run. And we have to, see, when we're focused on trying to change the world at that whole physical level, what we are doing is creating conflict. It's okay, yeah. Stuff happens. The greatest way, the easiest way, the way that is the most sure, is from that finer vibrational level. The more people come in touch with that, the smoother it becomes. Because it acts as an undertow to the thought process of all human beings and makes that change. The more we do that, the more people who do that, the greater the change. You can go out here and you can, okay, let's take civil rights, all right? We went out, raw, damn, you're going to do this and that and the other, and superficially, at a superficial level, it got done. We even have a president who is biracial. But if you look at what is happening, what you see is the racism disguising itself as other stuff. Okay. Oh, no, I'm not a racist. Oh, I just don't like niggas. Well, spics are okay. And them Jews run everything, so this is pretty much what is there. Okay? Because the change didn't happen in this undercurrent. The change happened at a superficial level. Can you really say it's change? Well, I guess kind of. But see, if you're really interested in change of an absolute value, real change, it happens at that finer vibrational level. I mean, you look at it, the world's lungs are being destroyed. The rainforest. We say, well, we can stop that. Really? Because those that are going to do it are going to do it. Because they don't get the difference. You can look at anyone who has their mind made up about something. You think you're going to change their mind? It has to be changed in another way. It has to be changed without them even know it's being changed. The influence has to come underneath from that finer vibration. Yes, Jesse?
Yeah, can you say also too then that religion actually is a root cause of racism?
Yes. Yes, I can say that. I can say there are many contributing factors. Just look around you at what happens with religions. Okay? Let's look around you. Religions generally contribute to ignorance. Let's just take a fundamental question. God created the heavens and earth. Okay. The scientist says, well, no, it's a matter of chance, it's a matter of evolution, it's a matter... Oh, no. We'll both ignore one important question. How is the evolution a part of that creation? You see what I'm saying? So we contribute to ignorance. We're not asking the right question. Is it? What does that mean? Instead, we come from a point of view that we already know the answer. The scientist says, you got to show me. Why can't you just open your mind and look? The religious guy says, well, God did it. You know, the guy I talked to at the time says, oh, they didn't go to the moon. You can't go to the moon. God lives up there. You know, it's like, open your mind. There's a fact in front of you. Now, does that automatically disagree with what you believe or what you think the religion says? Is that really what it says, or is that just your ignorance? So the ignorance contributes to all of it, really. But then you also have to look at the part it plays in controlling a Neanderthal. Without the help of religion adding fear to some of these people, we would be in big trouble. So it has both sides. Now the responsibility, our responsibility is to grow and to change and to see. And one of the things that the energy moving does is causes you to have pause and ask questions. How can this be? To ask an honest question. And quite often when we ask the question, we ask a question to prove our point. So we convolute the answer. That's not what you want to do. Not if you want change. We sell ourselves very short in this whole thing. We're afraid. We're afraid of change. We're afraid that something's going to happen. Well, I got news for you. This planet's going away. It's going to be bye-bye. It's not going to matter whether we chop down the rainforest. It's not going to matter. What I'm saying to you is there's an ultimate end. It has happened before and will continue to happen. So you have to, the energy takes you to a place where you see the natural flow and natural order of the universe. And you understand that all things are learning tools for mankind, for humankind. But if you have only, if your view is only that of the chemical base of this universe, this, religion, business, politics, these are all of this. If your view is constrained by those things, you can't see where it's going. The energy, when you allow that energy, you allow it to move, it takes you to other places. All you need to do is sit and be still. But you got to let it run. And all of your practices must be toward allowing that energy to run. You got all kinds of things, all kinds of reasons. Those of us who have family, our family can cause us not to let it run. We have children, our children can cause us to not let it run. Because we don't want to accept the fact that they come through us, but they're not us. We want to control them. You know, we deny the fact that every asshole comes from somebody's family. You know, You know, if you can't find the asshole in your family, go look in the mirror. You might find, you know, just check it out. Yes, Mark.
So for a really long time, for years, I've had dreams where I'm going somewhere. And these dreams take all kinds of different. At one point, I realized that where I was going was consciousness of myself. A couple months ago, and in many of these dreams, I'm going to the beach.
Okay, yeah, that's a good analogy. Yeah.
Consciousness of the water. So a couple months ago, I find myself on this huge cliff in the sand, and out in front of me is the ocean. I feel this tension, and I start to slip towards the edge, and I start to try to climb back up, and then I stop. And I realize I just need to let go. I let go. And I sort of fall off. As I'm falling off, I'm telling myself sort of to relax. And as I fall, it starts to become light blue. And I'm falling, but I'm falling really slowly. And I'm falling, and it starts to change color. It starts to become deeper blue.
Mm-hmm.
And I get towards the bottom, and then there's this huge ravine. And it's even darker, purple, blue. And as I fall, I keep falling down till I get to a point where it's just all blue, everything. And I'm just resting there,
Mm-hmm.
at peace. And I understood where I had been trying to get to
Mm-hmm.
these years.
Mm-hmm.
So I woke up the next morning, and I'm remembering the feeling.
Yeah.
And that feeling and this and my life had very little to do with one another.
Yeah.
It just was very distant in a way.
Mm-hmm.
So I went about trying to recall the feeling during the day or understand, okay, well, that was there, that's real. To me at that point, that was more real than this was. That was the answer to a question. But here I am.
Well,
I'm like, wait a minute.
here's the deal. You have to remember what you did. And what you did was let go. When you come back here, you have subconscious belief systems that you have to let go of. And what is very interesting about that is that how in falling, how you were falling, but yet you went up in the spectrum of color toward each chakra.
Right.
Which was, okay, so you got the perception of this, but you got this happening. Now, when you come back to this, I guess the question is, how guarded am I? You see, I'm not guarded at all. I'm sometimes careful, but then if something presses enough, I'll push back, okay? But it's not because of guarded, because if I were guarded 30 years ago, everybody would have been cussed out and gone. You see what I'm saying? So you come back to this. You woke up and you come back to this. Those invisible guards are there. The invisible guards of work, the invisible guards of interaction with people, having to deal with their whatever. So you shut off that experience. So the key is to just feel it and go back. I mean, just start letting go, doing that technique deeper and deeper.
So the question is the technique. Question is being able to do that, bring that forward, bring that healing back into this level of consciousness.
Mm-hmm. The technique, yeah.
By allowing the technique to just let the energy run like you described.
Exactly.
Without stopping it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's what the whole design of that technique is for.
So in almost any emotional situation.
Absolutely.
You know, it's hard for me not to do it now.
Yeah.
But I'm still missing something.
That's all right. That's why you had the dream, because it's working not only at this level, but it's beginning to work in your subconscious, and that's what the dream was. You're still working the technique. That's what it is, and so it's doing fine. You're doing fine on cloud nine. Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, it's working, and you just have to remember that. And that's the deal. That's what shuts most of us down. We make it exception. It's all right for me to not pay any attention, not do the technique in this. It's all right for me to be, well, what we're saying, it's all right for me to be an asshole. Because the goal, that individual's goal is not understanding, but maintaining status quo. And that's not what this is all about. This is why, we consistently have small groups, because they don't want to work. And a lot of people here don't want to work. They're here because they're lonely, or they're here for whatever their situation is. They're not here to work. You made a very important statement. Whatever you feel emotionally, bang, now you do the technique. If you are here to learn. If you're not here to learn, you're going to continue to do that other stuff, and that's just, a waste of time. Because it is difficult to overcome hidden beliefs. It's difficult because you have the energy of that gestalt. Remember I talked about how the thought sits on top of the feeling, but the gestalt is formulated in such a way that you're going to have a reaction to that. So what you have to do is you have to loosen that gestalt. So you're going to have that. So you got to open it up. And once you open it up, the energy is going to flow. But if you don't, every time you practice not doing it, see, it's like you practice doing it. Every time you don't do it, you practice not doing it. And you make not doing it stronger. So you don't get the rewards, you don't get the benefits of it. So what's happening, you let go. And the most fearful way, fear was there in that you fell off the cliff. Okay, you decided. What you decided to do was the technique. You decided by letting go. And in letting go, you pass through. See, the colors are nothing more than what we've talked about, the vibrational frequency of the energy at different levels. And that's what it was. The vibrational frequency of the energy at different levels of being. Good work. That's all I can say. So, it's important. Energy is important. That's not a part of how we live our lives. We live our lives with the result of energy. Very simple thing. And I've gone over this with you time after time after time about reality. About what you see is not what is there. What you see is a construction of light. It's a construction by the brain. It puts together the light and tells you, I see this. It tells you, I see color. It tells you, I see a person. It tells you, I see form. It's not true. It's just not true. We've done all the experiments in the world that tell us it's not true. But yet, what do? We behave as if it is true. When we are writing this script, you are bringing this stuff in and creating these storylines and all this stuff inside our heads and not dealing with things, From my perspective, the world is really a very strange place. I see people talking, and it's not connected to them at all. I see them doing things that's not connected to them at all, and not connected to the world. It makes no sense, but yet we do it. I look at shows where people are talking, and they're talking all over each other, and they're not listening to each other. It's just noise. How do we have a conversation? We had a conversation, or I've had this conversation several times, with men and women. Women try to make men be women, and men try to make women be men. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. I'm a guy. I have testosterone. Because of that testosterone, my body wants to work in a certain way. You're a female. You have estrogen. It tells you to work in a different way. Now, why is it I'm going to try and make you be me? It's not going to happen. So what happens? We start to hate each other. We start to dislike each other. We got arguments going on. Why? What we have to learn to do is to accept I am what I am. But in order to do that, we've got to get behind, and I got to make this point as clear as I can. You got to get behind all the crap that you think. You say, well, this is what I am. No. We have to come to the point of clear energy. There's a word, humiliation. That's a negative word. But humiliation comes from the word humble. Now, we can take a situation that we construe to be humiliating and take it to its clearest possible solution and let it make us humble. If you're a negative person, you become humiliated. And when you become humiliated, it's because you have not taken responsibility for stepping out there, chances are, with some dumb shit. I don't, that's the way I'm putting it. And then you got to say, oh, wait, you have to, in order to solve my problem, I have to take absolute responsibility for it. I learned a lot of things from my grandmother. I can't blame her for my situation. I have to take absolute responsibility for the things that I learned. Because I accepted it. I learned it. So I can't blame anyone. I don't blame myself. I accepted this. I accepted this from the society around me. Now, wait a minute. Who's miserable here? I am. Am I going to go to the clan leader and say, look, bro, you're responsible for the way I feel? And what's he going to say? Oh, I'm so sorry. I really didn't mean to hurt your feelings, but I'm going to make it all right. No, he's not going to do that. Therefore, the responsibility for changing this thing inside of me lays solely with me. It doesn't do any good to blame anyone else. It lies with me. Because now I've got to solve this problem. Which means, all right, I'm going to be, when I realize what a jerk I have been, I'm going to be humiliated. I can't tell you that night when this happened to me, it was like, oh my God. All the people who looked at me like, smart boy, but dumb as a sack of rocks. And I remember people's looks on their faces because I was smart. Smart as a whip. And I would, well, you old people you gotta do this and you gotta do that. And they just look at me. And that night I realized, oh my God, how much more they knew than I knew. Then the humiliation set in. It's like, oh man. And then the recognition, oh, wait a minute. I asked for this. Because I opened my mouth and tried to correct something without, just being in it 5 minutes. Humility then happened. And I learned to shut the hell up and listen and pay attention. So in order to learn and grow, we must have this humility. You follow what I'm saying? So accept the humiliation that comes with the recognition of being wrong. Okay? Accept it. That brings you down a notch. We like to think of everything as up here. No. When we think about, quote, God is way up here. No, God is the simplest thing. God is the humblest thing. The answers are simple. The answers are easy when you're looking for the answers. Okay? When we are educators, we're doctors, we're lawyers, we're particularly, professional people who think, God, who think they know all this stuff. And you just look at them and you go, no, it's different. We are up here. We put ourselves up here instead of making ourselves simple, easy. We are frightened people because we've taken all this time to develop this gestalt, this energy that says, I'm someone. No. I am someone simply because I'm here. I'm here. I'm entitled to the respect of being here. I'm cool with that. Now I can go through life and I can see it. I can accept, I can learn, I can grow, I can change, I can aid. Because I'm not above anyone. That is why we have to let that energy move. And let it move without all the trappings that we put on it. Who I am and who they are. And, we don't know who anyone is until we stop and look at them and pay attention to what they are saying. To what they really are saying. If we really want to make a difference in the world. If we don't, we go through life making enemies in the name of righteousness. We are the Christians going through North Africa. Be ye Christian or Muslim. I'm a Muslim. Will you change? No. Then I slay you to save you from yourself. And it worked the other way too. So are we solving a problem? Or are we creating a problem? What are we doing? Okay? What are we doing? We have to let the energy bring us answers. Answers beyond where we think we are now. And it will. It's the same as a telephone. What happens? When you speak the words, the words are, what do you call it, No, the words aren't transmitted, it's transmuted, or the word is changed into vibration. And that is transformed. And it is transformed, and when it comes to the thing on the other end, that energy or that frequency is transformed back into words. It's the same way. That's the way that works, because that's a law. So the frequency is just that we are not familiar with where the sender of the frequency, the sender of the energy, where does it come from? Where is its beginning? And we can only know that by the trip within. Most of what you know or can know about the physical world, about how it's put together, is in your DNA, because that carries everything from the beginning of time. Now, there is a before time. Okay, now I said from the beginning of time, the beginning of this. Remember, we talked now when that explosion happened, that big movement happened, and at the time movement happened, time began. Now there was a before that. This is just the beginning of this. So the energy also makes us larger. If you can only see your family, that's a very small world. If you can only see your community, it's a very small world. You can only see your city, it's a very small world. You can only see your country, it's a very small world. If you can see the world, it's a very small world. So your ideas and attitude restrict what you can observe, what you can see. That's why there has to be an openness. An openness. You can see then things in a different way. You look at the universe and you see how the physical universe works. Okay, got that. Let's move on. You will not necessarily know the language of the physicist or of the chemist. You don't have to. You can have a conversation because you will talk about the essence of things. And if each is listening to the other, you'll be able to hear. I get people ask me all the time, some name of something from some religion. I don't know and I don't care. It's not the name of it that's important. Only a very shallow person thinks the name means something. Someone asked me, what's the name of the place where Buddha got to? Nirvana. You mean the band? What I'm saying is I know what you're saying, but don't ask me about that. There's a reality to that. I'm not a Buddhist. I'm not a Muslim. I'm not a Christian. I'm not a Jew. I'm none of it. I am that which is. And that is what we all are. So as long as we put these labels on ourselves, we're not able to see. Okay? A Christian? No, I'm not a Christian. Jesus wasn't a Christian. Why should I be a Christian? Makes no sense. I did not arrive at this by following Christian concept, Jewish concept, Buddhist concept. I arrived at this by actualizing the truth within myself, by letting go of all this stuff that I thought I knew. It's like I had all the things. I graduated from high school at 16. Okay, I got all these promotions and stuff and all that crap. And oh yeah, I'm real special. No. I just read more books than everybody else. And I read them because that's what I did. My grandmother taught me to read very early. There was no such thing as TV. We didn't have electricity. So what was I going to listen to the radio? No. I read. I read everything I could find. So, does that make me smarter? No. That just meant I had more information. That's all. That's all. But I built this falseness around myself that I was special because of that. No. By looking within and admitting the truth and opening myself and opening up to see. The truth is everywhere. Everywhere. Just look. Just look. Honestly. Be willing to have pain, the pain of change. Be willing to being made humbled by the humiliation that you feel when you recognize, oh man, look at what I did. Key word, humble. Being made humble. I tell you about lying there on that floor. I told you the story. Here I am, face first on the floor, trying to figure out how to get up. I had a great experience. I think it was yesterday. I thought, okay, I'm improving. I'm not going to take a shower. I'm going to take a bath. I can get in the tub. And I got in the tub, and I had a bath. I couldn't get out of the tub. It's like, oh, Oh, what well, there was no panic. There was none of this because at that point in time before we talked about humiliation. We talked about how humiliation helped. And not having to think all these other thoughts, just began to figure out how to get out of the tub. How to slide up and use that little incline in the back, and then get your leg over and pull over and on the side of the tub and really hurt your balls. And then you lie there and go, now that's a humiliating experience. And they continue to slide over the edge. Okay, I can say these things to you because I'm not a prince. I'm not above being human. I'm saying, yeah, I hurt my balls. I'm just a person. You follow what I'm saying here? And I said it in that way because I want you to understand. It's not up here. It's right here. You follow me? Humiliation brings you to that humbleness to be there. Yes, Jesse?
So, what you're saying, and it's something that I've been like I've been doing, and it's working, it's pulling everything together. So what you did was, like you said, you didn't freak out, you resolved the problem.
Yes.
And that's the thing that you've talked to us about so much, and now it's really coming to fruition in my head, about life.
Yeah.
Resolve the problem.
Yes.
Do what it takes. Take
Yes.
out the emotion, just deal with the issue.
Deal with the issue. That's right. And it's simple.
And it makes life better.
Yeah. It's simple. You deal with the issue. And until you come to that simplicity and you can look another person in the eye and see who they are and deal with the issue. We want to debate. We want to argue. Debate is, I've never known a debate to change anybody's mind. I've never known an argument to change anybody's mind. The only thing that changes somebody's mind is going through a process of seeing and looking at the truth and being able to understand it. Simple changes. Yes, Kevin.
Is this process natural?
Yes. It's natural. See, all right. See, this is a funny thing. That's why I say the process. Because I designed the process. All right? I don't usually say that because that implies some other stuff. But the design of the process is simply a distilling life's process and taking it and putting it into a moment, putting the whole thing into a moment. So it is the process of life that if you spread it out, takes forever. The technique is simply to make you cognizant of what's happening right here, right now, in here. Okay? Which is, if we spread out over a lifetime, how many years do we have to go to finally figure out, damn, I was wrong. Well, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 years about a simple thing. So the process is natural. It's just that I've distilled it down to a moment. And in that moment, I distilled it to that moment because that is what happened to me. I realized in that time I could have done this years before. Okay? I realized that night. It's like, oh man, I could have had a wonderful life. I wouldn't have all these scars and all the, man. But I wouldn't have had the wisdom either. But the point is, yes, it's natural. I just took what happened to me that night because I was willing to go the whole way. It is important in this process to be at your wit's end. Because when you, in this process, when you still think you know something, you're not going to get it. Only when you realize you have no place else to go, so what really is the answer? So yes, it is natural. It's a natural process. And we do, and I've had people say, well, this is the way you want me to think. When the stupidity of that is I could give a damn less how you think. It doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter how I think. That's not the issue. You see what I'm saying? So it's coming to a point of really wanting to know the truth. Now, whether we come through it through using that technique, or we come through it through year after year after year after year after year, decade after decade, it's still the same process.
So why do you have to want to know the truth? I mean, things that are natural
Pain.
to show up.
Pain,
Pain,
Yeah.
what do you mean when you say pain?
hurt. You have to say, that's why you have to want to know the truth.
But you don't have to make a decision seemingly to do other natural things, to go to the bathroom, to whatever it is you can think of that one would say is natural, but this seems to require a choice. So that's why I asked if it was natural.
You can choose when to go to the bathroom once the urge arises. You choose whether to go now or in 2 minutes or 3 minutes or 4 minutes. It's natural, so it's the same thing.
The natural urge to know more is pain.
Not really, but the natural urge is within you. The pain is when you realize that what you think and the reality are two different things. Because you don't want to give up what you think, because that's giving up too much of yourself. And it's like the natural urge to go to the bathroom. If you held it too long, and the excrement is as big as my arm, it's going to be painful. So it's the same process, same thing. See what I'm saying? So it's natural. It's natural to grow. It's natural to resist that growth. But it's painful.
Okay. Things that are natural seem to support other things that work or function naturally, as I look at the physical world.
Yeah.
But this natural thing that you're talking about, that I'm involved in, doesn't seem to, at the end of the pipe, at the end of the tunnel, one or two people walk out, and you have billions of people on the other side.
Yeah.
And that's enough to sustain whatever this process sustains or promotes or supports or is a part of in the natural course of things.
Because each one of those billion is responsible themselves. See, it's not like going to school, and you know how they went to school and there were some kids that were in the third grade for 15 years and they finally passed them anyway? You can't do that with this. See, you have to earn it. Because the only way you gain wisdom is through earning it. The only way you gain that next leg up in consciousness is through earning it. So it's what it demonstrates is, and I don't mean this as a blame, I don't mean this as a put down. What it demonstrates is how childish human beings really are. When you have billions who won't take that step, and you have a few who will, and that few really is interested in solving the problem and really is interested in asking the right question. See, in order to get the right answer, you have to ask the right question. You follow? You have to ask the right question. If your question is convoluted toward getting an answer that you want, you're not going to get it. You got to really want to know.